Good morning, boys and girls. It is time for Appleblossom the Possum. We are on chapter 23, page 157. It is late in the afternoon when Izzy comes back into the room. She looks towards the white plate right away. All the food is gone. This means her little visitor is still in the house. Izzy's heart starts to pound as her eyes move around the room. She sees something pink on the tile in the bathroom and freezes. Is it blood? She moves slowly to the bathroom door. The first thing she sees is toilet paper everywhere. It crisscrosses the room from the dispenser to the toilet to the sink to the tub. There's a large clump of toilet paper next to the puddle of the shampoo, which is a goopy mess on the floor. The shower curtain has punctured holes in the plastic. Izzy looks at the sink. The toothpaste tube, which had been full, is empty. The tile floor reveals something else. Tracks. She bends down to more carefully examine what looks like a crime scene, and she sees the prints of a shoe and what looks like a tiny, long finger hand. She is now an expert at this, and it's the track of a possum. Izzy considers her options. She should get her mom and dad and show them the mess. They would help her clean it up, but they would be excited to know that her furry pal is somewhere in the house. She imagines Columbo in one of his barking fits and her parents in a full-blown panic, and so she makes a decision. She will handle this herself. Izzy cleans up the toilet paper and the shampoo mess. She does her best to hide the punctured shower curtain by putting it on the inside of the bathtub. She throws away the toothpaste tube and wipes down the entire floor, which is covered with paw prints and boot tracks. Then she gets a book and sits it on her bed. She whispers to the room, "I know you're here. I know you're in here, little pal." She has learned from her reading in the library that possums are nocturnal, so she is content to wait until darkness falls to try and lure out the creature. But weekends are the time when Izzy's parents do laundry. Her mom and dad rotate the chores, and this Saturday it's her mom's turn to do the wash. Izzy is sitting on her bed reading a book about marsupials when her mother comes in. She goes to the laundry basket in Izzy's closet and scoops up an armful of dirty clothes. She turns to her daughter. Enjoying the new book? Izzy barely looks over. Out of the corner of her eye, she sees something. At the bottom of the heap of the clothing, holding on for dear life, is a pair of pants. Is her possum still wearing the pink bonnet, blue coat, and one boot? Izzy leaps up from the bed, shouting, "Mom!" Izzy's mom abruptly freezes. The sound of her daughter's voice and the expression on her face causes Izzy's mother to gasp. "What is it?" Izzy scrambles to her mom and tries to grab the clothing from her arms. "Give me the laundry!" But it's not possible for her to get the whole armful of clothing, and half of it falls on the floor, including the possum. Izzy's mother sees the marsupial, which Izzy's fleetingly hopes looks like a stuffed animal, and she screams, "Oh my goodness!" with a kind of alarm that would never be used about a plush toy. She releases everything in her arms, and as she steps back, knocks into the floor lamp. The lamp crashes down, and the clothing pile seems to come to life. The clothes aren't really alive, of course, but the possum is, and it's on the run. Izzy drops to her knees and goes after the moving marsupial. But her mother shrieks, "No, stay back! Wild animals carry disease!" From another part of the house, Izzy's father shouts, "What's going on in there?" And then the most dreaded sound joins the symphony of panic. Columbo. The barking dog can be heard galloping down the hallway. It is impossible to know who is more out of control, her mother, her father, the possum, the completely hysterical Columbo, or Izzy herself. Columbo charges into the room, and Izzy stops trying to catch the possum in order to lunge for the dog. Grabbing his collar, Izzy's father appears in the doorway just as the possum shoots towards the bed. But Izzy's mother drops the laundry basket right over the possum, trapping the frantic animal. Izzy's father puts his hands on the clothing basket and shouts, "I got him!" which is strange because the possum is already caught. There is nothing Izzy can do. The cat is out of the bag, or in this case, the possum is in the clothes hamper. Chapter 24, page 164. So this is how it ends, thinks Appleblossom, in the shadows, in the darkness, entrapped. This is her final performance. Her breathing slows down. Her heart stops racing. And then the gland opens beneath her tail. She's in the moment and unable to control anything. She falls backward. Her eyes roll skyward. Her mouth opens. Spit comes out. This is how a death scene is played. Chapter 25, page 165. Izzy's father now stands right next to the overturned hamper, holding a net. He ran and got it from the garage. It was used at some point by Uncle Randy on a fishing trip and then abandoned on a shelf to gather dust and spider webs. Izzy's mother left the room and is now back holding a broom and a hammer, which causes Izzy to shout, "What are you doing with a hammer?" Her mother's voice is too loud. This is just in case. In case of what? Izzy responds. In case you decide that defenseless little possum is a nail? Her father waves his arms in an attempt to create calm. Okay, that's enough. Izzy's mother looks from her husband to her daughter. The animal's wearing doll clothing. You've been playing with a gigantic rat? Izzy shakes her head. It's not a rat, it's a possum, a marsupial. And I didn't put these clothes on her. She put them on herself. Izzy's parents both have an uncomfortable looks on their faces. And not because of what Izzy has just said. Her father loosens the grip on the fishing net. This net smells awful. Izzy's mother nods. It's like dead fish or something. Izzy doesn't care about the bad-smelling fishing net, although she does realize that the room is quickly taking on a terrible odor. She tries to explain. The possum is my friend, my pal. I've seen her before through the window. I woke up this morning and she was sleeping with my stuffed animals. Izzy's father inhales big, like he's going to hold his breath before going into a tunnel, and then exhales long. He then says, the animal does not belong in our house. Wild animals have fleas and ticks and carry rabies. It doesn't matter that the creature somehow got into clothing. It wouldn't matter if the animal could play the piano. Izzy's mother interrupts. Well, it would be amazing if it played the piano. I mean, we could make all kinds of videos and put them online, and Izzy's father stares at his wife. The animal does not play the piano. Izzy feels fairly certain that her possum is not musical. She doesn't want to reveal the fact that the only talent she's noticed so far is a possum's ability to make a mess. If the bathroom is any kind of example, her new pal is an awful house guest, so she remains silent. Columbo has been banished to the hallway, and he is whining with a kind of urgency that is beyond any of his usual meltdowns. The dog's clear desire to sink his teeth into something other than his red ball seems to bring Izzy's parents back to the problem in the room. Her father positions the fishing net over the laundry hamper as he instructs his wife and daughter, "You two should step back. I'm going to slowly lift the basket. The animal is going to run." Now it's Izzy's turn to interrupt. "We don't know she's going to run. Please be careful. She must be very afraid." Then Izzy's father slowly tilts the laundry hamper. They all wait and wait. Nothing happens. Finally, Izzy says, "She's not running." Her father then lifts the hammer up high in the air, which causes the net to rise up as well. They can all now see clearly the possum. The animal is flat on her back, arms stiff, and eyes closed. Izzy screams, "She's dead!" And she bursts into tears as her heart breaks. Her father does his best to explain as he stammers. Small animals can die from fear. They have heart attacks. Tears run down Izzy's face. She cannot believe that the little creature is dead, but Izzy's whole bedroom has a smell of death. It's like rotten stench of water in the old flower vase, only worse. Izzy's father's put his arm around her, but her mother stays at a distance. Columbo whines louder on the other side of the door. Izzy is able to say through her tears, "I want to give her a proper burial. Of course, sweetheart, her mother says. We can find a nice box and we can make a place for the animal in the garden. But Izzy continues to cry. We can't put her out there because Columbo will dig her up no matter how deep we make the hole. In the hallway, Columbo's frantic sounds do suggest that he'll dig through the Earth's core to get at this thing. His mother nods. You're right. We'll find a spot in the front of the house, maybe in the rose garden. And when we see the flowers bloom in the future, we'll know that she's part of that. It's hardly consoling news. Izzy leans close to the possum and through her tears manages to say, We are so sorry for what happened. We didn't mean to scare you. Izzy's mother and father suddenly seem to feel very guilty. Her mother puts down the hammer and places the broom against the wall. I've got a shoebox in my closet, and we have tissue paper in the drawer in the rec room. Nice pink paper. Izzy's father does his best to roll up Uncle Randy's old fishing net. I'll take this out to the garage. Izzy follows her mother to the closet where she tries to steer Izzy towards the box that was for running shoes. But Izzy insists on a glassy black box that holds her mother's favorite high heels. Izzy returns to her room and lifts up the possum and carefully places it on top of the bed of crisp pink tissue paper. She is surprised that the furry little animal is still warm to the touch. Izzy's parents are standing at the door waiting. They seem very anxious to get the possum out of the house and into the hole in the ground that her father has already dug, so hurriedly that his back now hurts in places he calls the L4 and L5 area. Her parents seem to have this episode as she hears them whisper over the news. As soon as possible. Her mother asks, Do you want your father to take off the blue jacket since it belongs to your bear, and the bonnet, and the boot? Izzy makes a face that indicates no. Her mother manages a wobble smile. No, bad idea. Also, sweetheart, it's probably better not to keep touching the animal. Izzy stops crying long enough to say, Can I just have a few minutes to myself to say goodbye? Her parents exchange looks, but don't speak. After a few moments, they nod and edge out of the room. Izzy stares down at the possum. She reaches her hand into the box and places it on the little animal. She says, I'm so sorry. What happens next is a shock of shocks. The possum's little hand suddenly wraps around Izzy's finger in what can only be described as a firm grip. Izzy starts to scream, but she stops herself. The possum isn't dead. The possum is alive. Izzy's eyes focus on Paddington Bear's blue jacket. It moves up and down in a very small increments. Why hadn't she seen this before? The animal is breathing, and then Izzy stares into the fancy shoebox. The little possum's eyes slowly open. She looks right up at Lizzie, and with an expression that can only be described as relief, her little possum's mouth opens, and she smiles. It's the smile that does it. Izzy takes action. She scoops the possum out of the shoebox and runs to her bureau. She opens the top drawer, which is filled with soft cotton t-shirts. She then sets the possum down. She hopes in a comfortable position and shuts the drawer. Izzy next goes to the bathroom. She grabs a shampoo bottle out of the trash can and quickly fills it halfway up with water. She tests the weight and adds another inch of butter. Izzy runs back to her bed, puts a shampoo bottle in the shoebox, and pads the tissue around the container to keep it snug. She places the top on the shoebox and then grabs the ribbon from her night table. She wraps the ribbon around the box and ties it tight. She's just finishing the bow when her bedroom door opens. Her mother looks in. How's it going, Izzy? Are you ready? Izzy's no longer crying and newly energized. Tries to look sad, which is hard because she is anything but sad and not an actor. She secures the ribbon and attempts to sound full of sorrow. Yes, I've said my goodbye. Let's go put her in the front yard right away. Izzy lifts the shoebox and starts for the door. She hasn't gotten far before Columbo charges in. The dog jumps up to get the shoebox. Izzy's father appears from the hallway and reaches for the dog collar. But Columbo angles in another direction and gallops, which is an accurate description of how the frenzied canine moves when he's focused on something, into the bedroom. Izzy's mother takes off after him. Columbo, get out of there. The dog's nose goes to the ground as he frantically sniffs the floor tiles as if they are coated with beef jerky. And then before Izzy's mother can gain control, Columbo bolts back into the bedroom. He lifts his nose in the air, and Izzy can tell he has picked up the scent because he lunges straight for the bureau. She shrieks, "Get him out of here!" The alarm in her voice seems to penetrate the dog's brain because he's even more anxious as he throws himself against the bureau. His claws scratch the top of the drawer and his teeth clamp down on the knob. He's going to open the drawer. But to Izzy's parents, he just appears to be an insane dog intent on destroying good wooden furniture. Izzy's father shouts, "Columbo, no!" There's something about Izzy's father's voice that commands attention, especially when he's angry. And the only thing that really gets him angry is Columbo. Izzy's father grabs the dog by the collar and pulls him away from the bureau. Seconds later, Columbo is out of the room and sequestered in his dog crate in the kitchen. And not long after that, Izzy and her parents lower the fancy shoebox containing a shampoo bottle filled with water into the hole of the front yard and say a prayer. All right, boys and girls, that's all of our reading for today. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Appleblossom on Monday. Have a great weekend.